There's a place for all our heroes. It's called the Hall of Fame. The greats of sports are honored here for the way they played the game. As we count their contributions, we feel so very proud. We won't forget how much they gave and how they pleased the crowd. When the glory years are over and playing days are past, we'll preserve those memories as long as sports fans last. Our torch is lit forever and brightly burns the flame, a tribute to our legends who are in our Hall of Fame.
First up, he is perhaps the greatest grappler ever to come out of Central New York, three-time state champion Dan Hunt. All right, up next, a guy who wrestled more major trophies away from his Syracuse District Golf Association colleagues than anyone else ever has. Mike Naton. All right, this former Michigan Wolverine is feeling a lot better about his alma mater after this past weekend, but he also knows the big one is coming up at Ohio State next month. J.J. Grant. Up next at the head table, the president of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Joe Janowski. I haven't checked the menu, but I'm guessing we're not going to find any grilled cheese tonight, but our next honoree earned that nickname in his 15 years in Major League Baseball, Jason Grilli. Our next honoree is arguably the greatest female basketball player on the planet and one of the best in the history of the game, Breanna Stewart. Our next guest of honor is already a member of the Pro Football and College Football Halls of Fame. In fact, he's already a member of 11 Halls of Fame. One of our beloved 44s, Mr. Floyd Little. Our final honoree helped clear the path for Floyd Little during their playing days at Syracuse University. Tonight, he's letting Floyd do all the work, Mr. Pat Killorin. We are also honoring a team tonight for the 12th time in Hall of Fame history, the Marcellus girls soccer teams of 2003 and 2004. Thank you again, everyone, and welcome Hall of Famers up here at the head table. Now to get this show on the road, let's bring up the president of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, Joe Janowski. Thank
Thank you, Mark. I'd just like to invite and congratulate everyone here tonight, and thank you for coming. It's a big night for us. It's our fundraiser of the year, and it's great to see all you people here, and congratulations to our inductees. Congratulations.
I want to make sure we thank our presenting sponsor tonight, Mr. John Chirundolo, a 2011 Hall of Famer, and his law firm. John, seated at table 14. Thank you, John. Also want to thank a couple of other of our major sponsors. Our VIP reception sponsor is Solvay Bank. And our team of honor sponsor, the Romano Auto Dealerships. Thank you, folks.
Just one look, that's all it took.
The first day of practice for a sophomore to come in, transfer into our school, and be as good as the returning players we had. We knew we had something special in JJ.
JJ Grant was stellar competing at football and track and field. And he was much more than a significant other on the basketball court. Born in Portsmouth, Ohio, JJ was a great athlete in the making as a freshman at Baldwinsville. Then the family moved to Liverpool.
He and his wife came to my office. I said, listen, JJ's such a great athlete. It doesn't matter where he goes to school. I said, the college, Division I schools, they find the players.
Oscar Jensen was also a coaching beneficiary of Grant transferring to Liverpool in 1982.
Between his junior and senior year in high school, he competed in the Empire State Games. He competed in the shot put, the discus throw, the hammer throw, javelin. He won all four, setting records in 3 of the 4. Later that year, senior year, participating in the Penn Relays in Philadelphia. He's competing in the shot put. In the preliminaries, he has the best throw. So therefore, in the finals, he's the last thrower up. This young lad from New Jersey decided to throw one further than JJ. So now Jay, being the last competitor, goes out and shows his true character, takes first place, throws 67 feet 3 inches, the record at Penn Relays for a number of years. That right there says the story about JJ Grant.
When he joined Liverpool's football team as a sophomore, JJ became part of a dream backfield with Hank Flournoy, Todd Richardson, and quarterback Chris Jones. His junior year, JJ averaged 8.3 yards per carry. Defensively,
He was a under-controlled, aggressive linebacker.
all league on offense and defense. As a senior, Grant was a parade All-American footballer and New York State Athlete of the Year.
It was said at the time by one of the great sports writers saying that probably J.J. Grant, at least at that period of time, was probably one of the best throwers all around that New York State ever produced. He could long jump 20 feet. He could triple jump. He ran the lead leg of the 4x100 relay. He was that quick. Anybody that I needed to have demonstrate plyometric drills, he was the man.
Division I college doors coast to coast were wide open for the son of Elizabeth and Jim Grant, who'd played football at Bowling Green.
But up until December of that year, it was always Syracuse, Ohio State. Then in December, he came into my office and says, Coach, he says, I've been looking up some schools academically, and Michigan's got a great business school. He says, would you mind calling their football office and see if there's an interest that they would have in me?
J.J. Grant broke a lot of hearts, including the Syracuse faithful, when he eventually chose to play for Bo Schembechler at Michigan.
And I said to him, Jay, why did you pick Michigan? When I took the visit at Michigan, I walked the campus for 2 days, and not one person knew who I was. And I knew then that if I went there, I would establish myself based on what I did at the University of Michigan.
J.J. Mudcat Grant, number 95 in maize and blue, made 142 tackles as the Wolverines went 23-1, beating hated Ohio State twice and going unbeaten in Big Ten play. In the swan song for co-captain Grant and coach Jim Beckler, they beat Southern Cal in the Rose Bowl. Lloyd Carr was defensive coordinator inside linebacker coach during JJ's college days and later a Hall of Fame head coach.
JJ was a great football player and an even better person and teammate. He was an outstanding leader here in a football tradition school.
With a BA in Communications and Media Studies, Grant's employment career has included Miller Coors, General Motors, and Capstone Logistics in Cincinnati. He's now living in Seattle. Truly an athlete for all seasons, James Joseph J.J. Grant now becomes a member of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame Class of 2019.
Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome our first inductee to the podium, J.J. Grant.
Okay, I'll get it. No problem. A lot of smile.
Okay, we'll put it right there. So everybody don't listen to it.
Thank you. I'm glad they could find all those photos after under all the dust and everything they had to dig under to get those 8mm cameras. First of all, I'd like to thank Greater Syracuse Hall of Fame for this prestigious award. I'm truly honored. It's great to be back here in Syracuse. I'd like to also thank specifically my coaches for the opportunities they gave me throughout the years, starting with John Arcaro, who was a great track coach out at Baldwinsville. John taught me a love for the game, for the competition, for track and field. And I was lucky enough to have George Manzacaro was my head coach in football. Taught me calm intensity. His knowledge and just friendship and everything have been remarkable through the years. I greatly appreciate him. And he just doesn't know how much I truly love the things that he did for me while I was at Liverpool. Oscar Jensen, my track coach at Liverpool, amazing attention to detail. From everything from foot placement to throwing the shot to how to handle yourself in competition in track and field. And I just greatly appreciate everything that he's done for me. And then as far as the Michigan years, Lloyd Carr and Jim Beckler, I had two great men to show me what it is to be a young man and part of a team and give me guidance and leadership throughout the years. So I've been blessed with the people who have been around me. And now in these a little bit older days where it takes a little bit of Bengay and things to get out of the bed, I greatly appreciate my family and have my wife and son here, Jackie Grant and Lee May. If they would stand up for just a quick second. I just wanted to thank them as well as my kids in North Carolina, Jamie and Derek Grant, Ashley Liverpool. We've got a nice big family. For the amazing feeling of a Hall of Fame family that you've given me and the great opportunity to just bask in the glow of life and happiness. So thank you, Jackie, Lee, thank you very much. And that's pretty much it. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Our next honoree is former Syracuse star Pat Killorin. He was at the center of things back in the 60s, but rarely was he the center of attention. And for Pat Killorin, that was just fine. Oh, sure, he was an All-American football player on the Hill, not once, but twice. the kid from Watertown who centered the line for Ben Schwartzwalder's 1963, 64, and 65 teams, blocked for guys named Little, Zonka, and Nance, and Coughlin too. Gary Bugenhagen was a stellar guard on those Rocky Pirro-coached O-lines.
They didn't have all the protections that they have now. There was a lot of dirty play going on in the line. The head slap was legal. The line play was different.
The significance of when he first met Killorin was not lost on tackle John Cherundolo.
My first day at Syracuse University, I came up during the snowstorm of 1966, and I was being shown around the campus as a recruit. Ran right into Floyd Little and Pat Killorin. And all of a sudden they started talking to me, and Pat kept the conversation going for a half hour. And here I was, a 17-year-old young kid out of Arlington, Virginia. And that made such an impression on me, because up to that moment, between him and Floyd talking with me that long, up until that moment, I had no intention of coming to Syracuse.
The 65 offense was the nation's best in all-purpose yards per game. And Pat Killorin was at the center of it all.
He took no prisoners when he was on a football field. Quick off the ball.
Well, my first meeting of Pat was in 1963. He was introduced to me as Goose. And he goes, geez, that's a funny name for a football player. And I said, how did you get the name Goose? And he says, he's got a long neck and he does waddle a little bit when he walks. He was a tenacious center. You don't make All-American 2 years in a row by being a pansy.
Killorin's pro career with the Pittsburgh Steelers was cut short by 2 knee injuries. And yet, he returned to his hometown Watertown Red and Black semi-pro team as player coach. Jim Keller and Michelle Devlin didn't know Pat the football player. Keller met the businessman, Devlin the volunteer.
My first impression was special, just a big personality. Very great listener, caring, empathetic. 30+ years later, that's all true.
I met him about 15 years ago when I started working at hospice with the volunteers. Pat is one of the best human beings I have ever had the pleasure to meet.
Killorin, the decorated football player, is well documented. His business career has been just as successful. Vice President of Syracuse Key Maintenance Products for 15 years. After forming Patco Management, Inc., he served as President CEO for more than 20 years. Now, he's a partner in a building maintenance firm.
I saw him do hundreds of things for employees, the best leaders, make their people better. It's not about them, and that was Pat.
And then there's Killorin, the community servant. He's been given the key to the city of Watertown, honored by both Hospice and United Way of Central New York. He's also aided Meals on Wheels, Honor Flight, American Cancer Society, and disabled veterans.
Back in the day, he couldn't qualify for military service because he had a deaf in one ear. However, if you know Pat today, and he probably wouldn't mention this, he drives for the VA, so he's doing his military service.
I always call him a Renaissance man. He is this sports star, but then he writes poetry, he meditates.
He and Mike, his wife of 53 years, have 3 children, 8 grandchildren, and live in Radisson. Enshrined in the Watertown Red and Black, AFA Semi-Pro Football, and North Country Sports Halls of Fame, Pat Killorin now becomes a member of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2019. He told me earlier that Floyd Little made him look good. I think it might have been the other way around. Pat Killorin.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're going to pull my coat off if I get too long, right?
Upside down, or you want it right side
Sure.
up?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Short. They give me 5 minutes, so I got a short speech, they said. I want to thank you to Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame for this incredible honor.
and congratulate all my fellow inductees tonight. You guys have all been tremendous in your chosen sport, and it shows by being here tonight. Special congratulations to my teammate, best buddy, Floyd Little over there. Floyd is not only a legend in football, but he's also a role model of a man, husband, and father. He's a good man. My athletic journey started about 70 years ago at a place called the Box Factory in Watertown, New York. Every day when the weather was good, all the kids in the neighborhood would gather to play football, baseball, or whatever that day. It was then and there and I learned the importance of teamwork, the we, not me attitude, which I tried to take on all of my life here. The Box Factory was a fenced-in field, except for a walking area next to the Box Factory. And I remember one day my mom called out to me to come home for lunch, and of course, as being a 10-year-old kid at the time, I was more interested in playing football and participating with my friends out there. And so I didn't quite answer her. And after a couple of times, she got a little upset and started walking up the field toward the house toward the field. Now, the field was about 50 yards away, and she had that stern look on her face like Patrick's in big trouble. So as she got closer there, the rest of my team kind of said, "Hey, Pat, your mom's coming over, and she looks like she's pretty mad at you." So I knew what that meant. And so I ran around over to by the building where you could come into the fence and ran around the house next door, up the street, up the steps into the house, and into the kitchen, sat down on the lunch table. And Mom came back, and I said, "Hey, Mom, where you been?" And that was my first time when I found out how teammates and teamwork work, basically. And it worked real well at that time, that's for sure. You know, the funny thing about football is that when we're playing, JJ will tell you the same thing, that success is measured in wins and losses, right? We all remember those special wins and those devastating losses. However, you know, the best memories, I think, of all of us here today in our athletic careers is of our team members. A brotherhood that unites us all into a family. We'll always have each other's back. A former coach said that teamwork is a fuel that allows common people to achieve uncommon results. This is the core of football. You play for a team. It takes 11 players, each doing a different job successfully, for a team to be a winner. I have a lot of people to thank for all of the support and guidance and encouragement they gave me on my football journey. I can only thank a few tonight, but everyone that I've been associated with, I want to remember them. Vera and Clarence Killorin, my mom and dad. They were the salt of the earth. Mom was worked at the lunch counter at Woolworths, and Dad was a policeman up in Watertown. They provided a very happy, very supportive life for me. The most important things, they taught me some very important things in my life. Number one is to love my God. Number two is to be humble. And the other things was to be teachable and always keep learning. How blessed I was to have such great parents. As an athlete, our deepest fear is that we're just ordinary and just average athletes. We all have a dream to be the best we can be. I have a couple coaches that have helped me tremendously along the way. One was Chuck Waddell, who was my high school coach in Watertown, and Coach Rocky Pirro, my line coach at Syracuse. They both were very instrumental in developing the tools that helped my skill set to become a good football player. I thank them very much. Thank you for all my friends that are here tonight for support. I appreciate that. It's good to see everybody here. And next thing comes to my most important accomplishment in life, and that's my family. My children, Christy, Jesse, and Matt, I love them dearly, and I'm so proud of what they've done in their life. And also their spouses, Rich, Dan, and Beth, and all my 8 grandchildren all sitting over there. They just mean so much to me, and they're so special, and I just can't wait to see what God has and plans for them in the future. And now the most important person in my life, my wife, Mike. 53 years we've been together. We've known each other for 60 years. And she's just been she's just given me, I've survived a lot of ups and downs because of her love, and she's given me unwavering support over all these years and always there for me through my sicknesses and through all the other things that happen. She's always cheering me on, and it's just been a wonderful blessing. I think if there was ever any Hall of Fame award for a wife, a mom, or a mama, she would get that for sure. She would get that for sure. I'm going to read this a little bit if I could. As I get down in my stance, I am faced with an opponent who is so close that you can inhale their exhale. I'm here tonight proudly representing offensive linemen, all offensive linemen who have made a difference in the game of football. I remember going to preseason practice here, and Coach Babers come up and said to me, you know, Pat, he said, if you get me big men, I'll give you a winner. I've heard of another situation where one of the Division I teams, coaches put all the offensive and defensive linemen in the front of the plane and put all the coaches in the back out of respect for what they find that the defensive and offensive linemen give them. That's interesting. You need an attitude as an offensive lineman. I used to play the War of 1812 Overture before every game. All the drums and the cannons and things like that got me so psyched up, it was unbelievable. A former great lineman said that you play the game as if someone puts your mom down. So nasty, no holds barred attitude. I had to have one to try to block J.J. Grant, for God's sake. Nasty, no holds barred attitude, acting as one, with 5 men acting as one in the sole purpose of helping others on our team to be successful. That's all they want. You know, the linemen are coming under, our offensive line here is coming under scrutiny. The offensive linemen and the pros are coming under scrutiny. It's a tough position. So in that respect, I wanted to give, I want to specifically dedicate my honor tonight to the 5 offensive linemen I played with at Syracuse, Howie McCard, Tony Schiavelli, Harry Winkie, Gary Boogie Bugenhagen, and Ray Paglio. What an honor it was to play with those guys. Fast forward, Gandhi said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. I thank my Heavenly Father for his many blessings on my life journey. Now that I'm down in my quarter tank of gas of life, I realize it's important to give back for these blessings. Every day I ask for prayers and guidance to receive a gift in the name of our Lord, to help whoever I meet and whoever may have a crisis or need in our community. My motto is, we rise by lifting others. Giving back gives hope, and when there is hope, there is a future. I have new teammates now, whether it's to be there to give peace and comfort to a person in their last days, or to be there walking hand in hand, side by side in a battle against cancer, or being understanding and bringing love to our disabled vets, or bringing food to those who are hungry. I love this part of my life. I'm a very blessed man. And so, do good. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough, but give your best anyway. Thank you so much.
All right, we having fun? We enjoying the food? Good, 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 good. How about another round of applause for the guy making this all possible tonight, Mr. John Chirundolo, our presenting sponsor. And thanks again to Solvay Bank and Romano Auto Dealerships. Okay, the commercial break is over. Back to the show. Next honoree is Mr. Mike Naton.
Bishop Ludden grad Mike Naton attended college on the Hill. Not the SU Hill, the one in Bowling Green, Kentucky, home of the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Ironically, golf coach Jim Richards' last win as WKU basketball coach was a 1978 NCAA overtime shocker at the expense of Syracuse.
He was a big, tall, rangy athlete. He could hit that Titleist Balata ball with a wooden-headed club a mile. And since I only had 2 scholarships total for the team, I felt like he was worth at least a half. I gave the other half to a guy named Kenny Perry, who won 14 times on the PGA Tour. For 1 scholarship, I thought that was pretty good for our team.
And good for Mike Naton, who roomed with Perry as a freshman.
Mike and I were roommates back in 1979, our freshman year, and it's hard to believe that an old redneck and a Yankee would become such close friends. I even asked Mike to be the best man at my wedding.
Dave Smith knew Naton from junior golf and his Bishop Ludden teammates. Each went to college in Kentucky, but Smith went to Eastern Kentucky. Did they face each other collegiately?
I was never in the same group with him because he was usually playing with the likes of Kenny Perry, Chris Perry from Ohio State, Brad Faxon. He was the elite and I was usually on the B squads.
After college, Mike began a business career. He's president of Taylor Upstate, specializing in restaurant equipment. He and wife Marcia have 3 children and 3 grandchildren. So what set Naton apart from the rest of the golf community? Well, he's won 12 majors, 5 districts, 4 Herald Ams, 3 Ash Memorials. That's more than anyone. 3 times he captured 2 of the district's 3 crown jewels. 4 times he's been named Player of the Year. In 2016, Mike debuted as a senior by beating Hall of Famer Alan Foster in a playoff, the first of 3 consecutive senior titles. He was Player of the Year his first 2 seasons among the seniors. He played on 25 Mitchell Cup teams and has been a Soviet Cup regular. And recently, he was enshrined in the Syracuse District Golf Association Hall of Fame. With such credentials, the question arises, could Mike Naton have been a PGA Tour pro?
To this day, we talk about it all the time. You know, do you have any regrets? And he says that absolutely not. We all know he had the tools to do it.
Mike was a better chipper and a better putter than Kenny. There's no doubt in my mind that Mike could have been an excellent PGA Tour player. The uncertainty that goes into a PGA Professional Tour career, I think kept Mike from wanting that life, the nomadic life.
You beat everybody. You even beat me when I came up there. I still owe you $1. I didn't forget. But anyway, I want to tell you about one of the rounds at WKU. We were at Terre Haute, Indiana, at Holman Links. Mike had a broken collarbone. He still wasn't going to be left at home. That's why he was our captain. He was our leader. He was a tough dude.
Actually, Mike played his entire junior year with a broken left shoulder, sustained while riding his moped from Tuscarora. It didn't keep him from playing or chowing down to eat.
I have been around a lot of basketball players. I've been around a lot of football players, all of whom eat a lot. None of them ate as much as Mike Naton. He could really put down the biscuits and gravy or any of the other fried chicken and the things that we taught him in the South that he didn't understand when he was at Syracuse growing up.
Respected by the golf community for decades as a Hall of Fame individual and golfer, Mike Naton becomes a member of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2019.
He collects majors like Tiger Woods. Here's Mike Naton.
Thank you very much. Like the flower camera? Thank you. Well, that was impressive. I can still eat, by the way. Usually I like to do this stuff off the cuff, but this is a night you don't want to forget anybody. So I'm going to do a little bit of reading on this one. But hello, everyone. You can't imagine how much this means to us, people up here, for the support that you have coming out here. And it's a full house. It's fantastic. So it means a lot to us. How about those videos? I go, Bob Snyder and Andy Wolf, there's some talent on those from what we gave them to make those things are pretty cool. And I am going to, thanks, good. And I think I owe those guys $10, but I'm not going to pay my coach anymore because of that. So this is certainly a night to be thankful. And I have quite a few thanks to dole out. So I know Mark's going to be pulling at me in about 2 minutes, but that's okay. I want to first thank the committee for my selection. This is absolutely amazing for me. If you're a local kid that just, that's all they do is play golf around here. I'm truly honored and humbled by it. I want to thank my friends Jeff Strait and Chris Marshall. They nominated me, and you have to be nominated to have a chance. So I wouldn't be here without them. And to Bill Motto, who organized this, doesn't get as much credit as he did. This is an amazing event, and it must be like herding cats to get the information from us to do what he does. So absolutely amazing. I don't know where he is, but thank you, Bill. This is absolutely great. When I received the call, yes, that's good. When I received the call from Coach Jacob, I honestly thought he was kidding. I really did. After a few months of shock, he asked if I wanted to know who else was coming into the class with me. I go, of course. He started off with Breanna, like, oh, great. And then Floyd Little, wonderful. Jason Grilli, Dan Hunt, Pat Killorin, J.J. Grant. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? I said, and there's me, which is good. You know, we got to do something here. Yeah, don't laugh too hard. So, I mean, what a class. Just to be part of it is amazing, and I'm so thankful for it. I've attended a few of these ceremonies over the years, and the common theme I hear at various speeches is about family. Mine's not going to be much different. Going through the years and trying to compile some of the accomplishments that led to this night gave me time to reflect on how many people in my life made any and all of this possible. You know, most of it starts, anyone that plays sports need a support network, usually starting with the parents, and I couldn't ask for better ones. Fortunately for me, sports played an important part of how we all grew up. My dad, Pete, whom a lot of you probably knew, was a catcher for the 1952 Holy Cross Division I College World Series. Played pro ball for the Pirates organization. Got his cup of coffee, you know, was 2 for 12 in the majors. Always joked that he was 2 hits away from being a career 300 hitter. And never, you know, it's like, can't argue. I mean, he was. It's only 12, but. My mom, Joan, 88 years young, has 7 home runs, 7. She looks like she's younger than me, which is not good. But my brother Pete played lacrosse and football at Hobart. My sister Jean was a golfer and skier. My other sister Carol, soccer player, skier, longtime caddy, along with my brother-in-law's Kurt and Mick. I don't know why they did it, because they didn't get paid, but that's okay. That was good. Thank you for all being here tonight. It means a lot to me. As are actually more important going forward, and this is one I want to make sure I didn't forget, is my wife. Having a spouse who understands her husband's passion is and always supported it. You can't do it without him. She's my wife for 35 years. She does this and has always done it. So thank you, Marsh. Love you. And of course, my kids, Matt and Katie, are here tonight. Leanne's got a newborn. She couldn't come up from Pittsburgh. But all the years that you've given me the support and encouragement, even if you know I was playing or not. But that's okay. That was great. Sports is still a big part of our life. Like all the kids I knew when I grew up, I played all the sports that had a ball and sometimes some that didn't. Golf came a little later and actually was not really cool when I played. I mean, Tiger wasn't even born yet, at that point. So my past coaches and teammates all had something to do with making golf special for me. And it sounds weird, but when I started playing more local tournament golf, a guy named Chuck Hardy was a huge factor in making it cool for me. You know, most of you probably know him. His amazing coverage of the local golf scene made the sport seem so relevant, and there's nothing more exciting and motivating for a young guy than seeing your picture on the front page of sports. I mean, it really was, it wasn't a big popular sport back then, and it made it. I mean, you were on the front page of Syracuse paper, and there's not much thing going on right now. Then he passed the reins over to Donna Tatota, and then my neighbor and friend, Chris Wagner, and the golf coverage continued. MF Prino does it for the players of today. I want to thank you all. If you're here, you're not. I hope you all realize you did make a difference. There really is nothing like the game of golf, and not the actual playing of it, but the life lessons it teaches you. Everyone at this table knows how much time and effort it takes to be good at something. Golf taught me how not to quit, how to try your hardest but be able to accept good outcomes, good and bad, how not to blame, how to be respectful while you're winning and losing, and as much as anything, integrity. I've probably learned more from this game than from any other single source in my life. Golf and the people I've met through golf have been instrumental in everything from my college education to even the business I run today. I also realize that the older I get, the less I care about things, and the more I cherish relationships and experiences. So many of my friendships, many of you who are sitting right out there, have come from competing with and against them on the golf course. Along with my family, nothing means more to me than those friendships. Go Guinness, by the way. Thank you, Mr. President, the committee, the board, my senior, my mentor, Matt Jacob, wherever he is. He brought me through this to get to the end, to make this night possible. Thank you again for my family and friends for here to share this great night. Thank you all again for coming and supporting us one more time. Have a great evening.
Yeah, they tell me to give these guys 5, maybe 6 minutes. Yeah, he said it was 4.5. Okay, a little bit over. That's okay. Our next honorees tonight are the Marcellus girls soccer teams.
Not once, but twice. In 2003, they won the New York State Girls Class B Soccer Championship. And then they did it again. The first from Section 3 ever to go back-to-back. You'd think when you were the first to accomplish such a feat, you might be surprised. Not so, these girls from Marcellus. Midfielder Jesse Reynolds and goalie Candy Hoffman were seniors on the 2003 team.
We knew that we were onto something and that we were doing something very cool for the community and cool for ourselves.
What made us so rare as a team is you might individually have doubt in your game every once in a while. Everyone was just there to kind of keep you going and pick you up, and it was just, there was never any doubt about what we as a unit were capable of doing.
So what did the 2003 seniors tell their younger Mustang teammates?
We just said, go get another, you know, and off they went.
Record-wise, these two teams coached by Lori Updike were mirror images and very impressive in their statistical dominance. Katie Walter was a sophomore and junior midfielder on those state championship teams.
We were so good. In the beginning of that season, I mean, we were running up the scores pretty high, and we had several shutouts. In postseason, I think we had a couple of blowout games.
The Mustangs were 30-0 in postseason and non-league play, 46-2-2 overall, 23-1-1 and 8-1-1 in the league each season. They outscored their opponents 234-33, and 59% of their wins were shutouts. Defensively, Marcellus was a juggernaut.
We knew each other. You didn't even need to communicate what you wanted people to do. You knew exactly what they were going to do. If one of your defenders approached, you knew how to cover them or what they're likely to do.
Do it, they did, in all kinds of weather. The 2003 state semifinal against Alden was played in the snow.
I remember them shoveling the field so that we could see the lines.
And a rally was needed to win 4-2. In the finals against Oneonta, it took junior midfielder Megan Mannion's goal in the second overtime to end a scoreless deadlock. The following year, Marcellus had a more senior-laden team. When the Mustangs and Chatham met in a regional semi in Chittenango, 23 degrees was the game time temperature. No sweat. Literally, the Mustangs won 5-0.
But it took overtime to oust Babylon in the state semis 1-0. Capping the back-to-back state coronation was a 6-0 rout of Fredonia. The Buffalo News calling Marcellus's performance a soccer clinic. These championship squads were led by a pair of two-time first-team All-Staters. Forward Jenna Farnetti, who scored 100 goals in her scholastic career and was 2003 Class B tournament MVP, and midfielder Josie Jankowski. Updike was named Class B Coach of the Year. Joining Farnetti and Jankowski on the 2004 All-State squad was senior forward Amy Ware. There was talent aplenty, starting at the top with their coach.
She's always personable and relevant and down to earth.
There was 2 minutes of recovery, and anytime we let a goal in, it was do it down and back, maybe 10 down and backs, sprints, field sprints, hills. So it was the fear of punishment.
These teams were a big deal in tiny Marcellus.
It's a very small town, and the excitement that was happening when you would go around town was unbelievable. The kids at school got sick of us because we kept getting called down to the office, and it was always something from the community, you know, a letter of congratulations.
And of course, Mustang Day in the village, not to mention being twice honored by proclamation on the floor of the New York State Senate. Now the 2003-2004 Marcellus Girls Soccer State Champions are the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame's 2019 Team of Honor. Welcome to the stage, the architect of that Mustang dynasty, Ms. Lori Updike.
Hi, and thank you very much. I want to take just a minute to talk about what happened this summer. The U.S. women's national team won back-to-back World Cups. Let me say that again. The U.S. women's national team, that's right, won back-to-back World Cups. That's the biggest thing that has happened since the Marcellus girls soccer team won back-to-back New York State championships. On behalf of my 2003 and 2004 teams, I want to thank the voters of the Greater Syracuse Hall of Fame for recognizing us as this year's Team of Honor. Would the state champions please be recognized when I call your name? Captain Jenna Farnetti. Captain Katie O'Loughlin. Candy Hoffman, who is now also my assistant coach. Alyssa McLaughlin. Jesse Reynolds. Katie Zimmerman. Josie Jankowski. Megan Mannion. Ashley Martin. Emily Zimmerman. Stephanie Gosson. Amanda Stessen. Katie Walter. Catherine Scott. Katie Young. And Elise O'Brien. I did not do this alone, so please join me in recognizing my assistant coaches, Mr. Michael Vincent and Mrs. Lisa McLaughlin. Thank you, girls. You're the reason we're here. Looking back on those teams, I have nothing but fond memories. In 2003, we lost the league title to CBA, but the team motto that year was Operation Annihilation, and we were determined not to stop fighting. After beating Ilion 5-0 in the Dome for the Section 3 title, we were on to states. In our Final Four, we would need a historic comeback to beat Alden, as we were down 2 early on a messy field littered with ice chunks. The final score would be 4-2. Then we would find ourselves in an epic battle with Section 4 champion Oneonta in the cold and on a muddy grass field in Webster. We nearly won the game with 3 minutes left in regulation as Jossie Jankowski's shot would hit the crossbar. But that shot would repeat itself in overtime as Megan Mannion's shot, lofted high in the air, would carry him off the crossbar, but this time a recovering Oneonta player would get in the way and it would hit off her leg and go into the goal. And jubilation would begin right there on the field. In 2004, the fire was lit, and this team was determined to repeat right from the start. This time, our toughest contest would come in the state semifinals as we took on Long Island's Babylon. But thanks to headers by Katie Zimmerman in regulation and Katie Young in overtime, we would get to the finals. Here, our possession game would dominate Fredonia, and we would cruise to a 6-0 victory. And this time, no heart attacks. There would be no doubt we would be back-to-back state champions. Over those 2 years, we would be 46-2-2 and outscore our opponents 234-33 and post 27 shutouts. What a ride these 2 seasons were. And to be the first school to win back-to-back state titles in the same class was an honor and a huge accomplishment. The celebrations were endless, including today's. Thank you. One of the fondest memories of both years would have to be the team dinner at States, where you would get to tell about your hometown and your school and put on a skit. When you play a team sport, you learn what it takes to be a great teammate and friend. You live for the way it feels to beat another team, and to know those extra down and backs in practice would give us a late edge in games. Sports offer so many life lessons and memories that stick with individuals throughout their life. The long bus rides, the songs, but mostly the friendships and lifelong bonds that are created growing up together, playing soccer together since they were 5. These teams have become my family. They have become a family together, and they will forever be part of mine. They brought the community together, as is evident both years we went to States. I felt like the whole town and 2 busloads of students came to follow us through the state championships, and certainly the parents who are present here today as well. Thank you very much for all your support. I would also like to thank my family, who is here tonight, for supporting me and giving me the time to coach. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be Nancy Lieberman from Old Dominion. I didn't get to see her play basketball very much, but I just knew that I wanted to be her. And tonight, my 10-year-old daughter sits in the audience and has access to a whole new set of female role models. She loves basketball and watched Breanna Stewart win 4 championships at UConn. She also has posters in her rooms of the U.S. women's national team and can name all the players. She has been to professional games and seen them play. She has Allie Krieger's autograph and her picture with Morgan Bryan. But the coolest, the absolute coolest and most tangible set of role models she now has are the girls of the 2003 and 2004 Marcellus girls soccer team. Now she can dream of doing the same thing when she gets to high school, and I hope I'll be her coach. On behalf of the state champions from Marcellus, I am honored, beyond honored, to accept this Team of Honor award. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.
All right, before we continue, I want to remind everyone in the room how much greatness we are surrounded by. Can I have all the Hall of Famers in the audience please stand up and be recognized? Come on. I also want to pause briefly to remember longtime board member Bill Lamont, who passed away recently. Bill was the one who had the idea to honor a championship team at our annual dinner, and he also composed the theme song for the Hall of Fame that you heard before the ceremony began tonight. Once again, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, the Cherundolo Law Firm. I should be good at saying that by now. Solvay Bank also, and the Romano Auto Dealerships, again, for making this great event possible. And now on with the show. Breanna Stewart is our next honoree.
There are prodigies whose talents are evident even at a preschool age. Not so in most cases, though, including Breanna Stewart. But now one can make the case that our hometown girl from Cicero, North Syracuse has become the greatest women's basketball player of all time. Eric Smith coached Breanna at CNS.
I teach at a middle school, so in middle school in 5th grade, I hadn't grown into her frame yet, so she was pretty awkward. She's still pigeon-toed. Wasn't like she's going to be the best player in the world.
By 9th grade, however, she made a freakish play in New York City, and the basketball world took notice.
By the time she was in 11th grade, she was dominating everything that she was playing. And then her senior year, we went to a prestigious tournament out in Phoenix, Arizona, and she was by far the best player in the tournament. We're playing teams that had 7, 8 Division I players.
While in our midst, Stewart was Gatorade Female Athlete of the Year, Naismith Prep Player of the Year, and a McDonald's All-American. With the USA Basketball Under 16, Under 17, and Under 19 teams, she won gold medals. She was one of only 2 Scholastic girls chosen at the time for a USA Pan American Games team. Call her Bree, call her Stewie, Breanna Stewart, daughter of Brian and Heather Stewart, is the most decorated female basketball player at the high school, college, and professional levels at the age of 25. Named USA Basketball Female Athlete of the Year in 2011, 13, and 18, Associated Press Player of the Year in 2014, Women's Naismith College Player of the Year in 2015, she also received a 2016 ESPY Award as the best female athlete. Stewart's high school coach heard from a who's who of college coaching.
He was probably the one coach that I never had contact with.
Connecticut's Gino Auriemma.
They kind of sell themselves.
Auriemma jokingly relates the time when Stewie had a subpar stretch of games her first year. Against Baylor, she only played 7 minutes.
One mistake after another by Stewie. I couldn't get her out fast enough.
He's grateful for her presence, though, in nearly every other game over a 4-year span, as UConn won 4 consecutive NCAA titles, with Bree the Final Four MVP every year. Try to equal that standard. Also, the 6'4" star with a 71-inch wingspan was consensus Player of the Year 3 times.
And somebody shoots the ball from the right side of the floor. The ball hits the front of the rim, and it goes straight up. And Stewie comes running in, and as the ball is still at the top, above the rim, she goes up, up, and catches the ball, and just kind of like flicks it in the basket. So now we go, okay, let's go, this next thing. So now the next thing, we run a pick and roll. Now normally when you say, we got a 6'4" center, she's setting the screen. In this one, because Stewie was so versatile, we could do a million different things. She was the ball handler, and we had someone else setting the ball screen. So kid sets the screen, Stewie comes off the screen, they play it a certain way, she steps back and makes a 3.
Auriemma whistled the end of practice.
We have a guy on our team that just dunked and then made a step back 3. We're done. It ain't gonna get any better than this. And it doesn't get any better than Stewie.
Hey Stewie, it's CD. But I just wanted to say congratulations for all you've done so far, and you have so much more ahead of you. I'm happy to have been a part of it.
She went on to win Olympic gold in 2016, was the obvious first overall pick in the WNBA draft, and signed a multi-year deal with Nike before ever playing a game for the Seattle Storm. Rookie of the Year, she was also named the league and playoff finals MVP. Internationally, Breanna has starred as FIBA World Cup MVP. A ruptured Achilles tendon unfortunately occurred during the EuroLeague title game, requiring surgery and a lengthy West Coast rehab. We all look forward to her return to MVP form, but for now, Breanna Stewart becomes a member of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2019.
She was -7 when the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame was founded. Here's Breanna Stewart.
I told Floyd I'm giving him 2 minutes of my time, so I'm going to hurry up. That video was great, first of all. I'm actually going to UConn next week, so thank God Coach Oriema ended it with some nice comments, or I would have had to give him a lot of crap next week. But really, I wanted to say thank you to the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame for allowing me to be here, to the sponsors for putting on this event, to the committee, to everyone who really made this night possible. It's a pleasure for me to be here, to sit up here tonight, to be with all these other great people, first of all, and then great athletes. To my family in tables 4 and 15, shout out. And my neighbors are here somewhere. And yeah, back there. But really quickly, I mean, my mom and my brother aren't here tonight. My dad's here. Both my grandmothers are here. Mr. C, Mr. Z, they were who I first started to play AAU with, play Liverpool Optimist with when I was that awkward person, as Coach Smith pointed out. You know, on some of those videos, I was very skinny. I like to think I'm a little bit bigger now. But, you know, they were there from when I first started. Some my best friends, Nina and Allie, that are here, going around the table, to my Philadelphia Bells family, Kevin, Mike, Fran, thank you guys. To Coach Smith, I mean, we've been together for the long haul. I mean, I was on varsity from 8th grade until I graduated, so 5 years of dealing with me when I was shy, and then, you know, when I talked a lot, can be a little difficult, but really thank you for everything. Going to table 15, you know, that's most of my family. You know, my family's there, my extended family, my grandma and grandpa in the back. My grandpa didn't want to wear a sports coat. Sorry. So earlier today, I was in sweats, and I was like, if you go like this, I'll go like this. But, you know, we changed. We dressed up for the occasion. As was said on the video, obviously I ruptured my Achilles, right Achilles. Tough injury for sure, but as athletes, you know, it's not the worst thing we're going to go through. And looking at the glass half full, happy to be able to be here tonight. Otherwise, I'd be overseas in Russia, so it kind of worked out really well. You know, it's snowing in Russia already, so I'm happy the weather was nice for me this weekend in Syracuse. I like to tell everyone that, you know, I always represent Syracuse wherever I am. Whenever anybody asks me where I'm from, I say Syracuse. Well, excuse me, first I say New York, and then they say New York City, and I'm like, no. Upstate. You know, I'm from upstate. I'm from Syracuse, New York, where we get a lot of lake effect snow, specifically North Syracuse. And, you know, to all these young kids that are in the stands right here, you know, I mean, obviously I'm 25, I'm still playing, but, you know, you guys can dream big and continue to kind of reach your goals, whether it's in sports, out of sports, that type of thing. And I can't tell you how many times people come up to me. You know, I was at the Y. I was at the North Syracuse YMCA on Friday because I had to work out. And, you know, people come up to me saying thank you to me and that type of thing. But, you know, this is why I do it. I continue to play basketball because especially for young women, we deserve to have more. You know, we want to be better and make it better for the kids coming up behind us. And, you know, that's really my ultimate goal. Obviously, I've done a lot of things award-wise, but now it's trying to make the sport better in itself. And, I mean, if I didn't say this already, congratulations to all the other inductees tonight. I'm honored to be a part of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame class of 2019. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight and hosting a wonderful event. I look forward to remembering this for the rest of my career. I mean, this is my first Hall of Fame induction. But you never forget where you came from, and I'll never forget where I came from. And thank you guys for tonight. And if I haven't met you, I look forward to meeting you and hope all of you have a great rest of your evening.
Just going to lower this a little bit. All right. Next honoree, Mr. Grilled Cheese.
Having experienced the best and worst of times in the same year, Jason Grilli could look back at 2013 with mixed emotions. Yes, the likelihood of being named National League Reliever of the Year ended with a late season injury. Until that moment, he enjoyed an all-star season for the Pittsburgh Pirates, notched a career-high 33 saves, fanned 74 in 50 innings, had a 5.7 strikeout-to-walk ratio, and graced the cover of Sports Illustrated with a game-closing fist pump. And he accomplished that at age 36, a veteran starter-turned-reliever who would record 69 of his 79 career saves during the 2013, 14, and 15 seasons. In John Buck's last couple of seasons, he caught Grilli on occasion.
My sternum's now healing up finally. For you that don't know, a lot of his catchers know. When he would close out a game, he'd give a good solid punch to the sternum. One time he got me a little low, and Jason obviously plays with a lot of passion.
Grilli's longevity as a fastball slider throwing right-hander is testament to his perseverance. Few in the history of the game have lasted so long in the show, despite so many injuries. Through it all, the 6'5", 235-pounder who signed in 1998 and retired in 2017 appeared in 595 Major League games, struck out 691 in 684 2/3 innings, and had a 2.6-to-1 strikeout-to-walk ratio, discounting intentional bases on balls. While a 34-47 one-loss record and a 4.22 career ERA are not eye-popping, this credential certainly is. In 16 playoff appearances, working 12 innings, Jason's postseason ERA is 0.00. Sean Casey was Grilli's teammate with the Tigers.
Grilled Cheese, Jason Grilli, one of my favorite people in the world. Congratulations, bro, going to the Syracuse Hall of Fame. So deserved, man. You should be the Detroit Tiger Hall of Fame, the Bucko Hall of Fame, Pittsburgh Pirates. You know what, dude? You're in the Friend Hall of Fame.
Jason Grilli was introduced to professional baseball at a very early age. 40 years ago, his dad, Steve, himself a big leaguer, was the ace reliever for a Syracuse Chiefs team that made it to Game 7 of the IL Governor's Cup playoffs. The kid hung around the clubhouse at Big Mac. Years later, he would call almost as many big league clubhouses home: Marlins, White Sox, Tigers, Rockies, Rangers, Pirates, Angels, Braves, Blue Jays, as you can count on both hands. Additionally, he pitched for Team Italy in the 2006 World Baseball Classic. Well-traveled, well-paid, approximately $18 million in earnings, including a 2-year, $8 million contract late in his career, and well-earned. Grilli's agent is 9-time All-Star Gary Sheffield, a member of the 500 Home Run Club.
We've spent many years together as teammates. I represented you on the agency part, even though you used to try to tell me what to do as a client. But I took your advice, and it worked out for you.
Michigan-born, Jason grew up here in Radisson, starred for the Baldwinsville Bees, nixed signing with the New York Yankees as a 24th round draft pick, and wisely opted to attend Seton Hall. An All-Big East selection and the Giants' first round pick, 4th overall after his junior season, he received a $1.875 million signing bonus. Grilli remains a popular figure in Pittsburgh, where he lives, and Toronto, where he won his last game in 2017.
The way he handles himself is like a Hall of Famer at a higher standard that I think that's above normal people.
So how great was 2013, notwithstanding injury? When Jason invited his dad to join him in Chicago, it was the day the All-Star team was announced. Together, father and son walked to the outfield at Wrigley Field with its iconic ivy-covered walls. Jason called it his Field of Dreams moment. And now, Jason Grilli, one-time ace of the Beeville Bees, becomes a member of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2019.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jason Grilli.
All right. Wow. That was a good video. First of all, I got to confess, as a professional athlete, I've conducted a lot of interviews in the clubhouse. Only dressed in a towel around my waist, so I got to, first of all, and we have a lot of people to thank, but I got to thank for the nice tux that graced me. So you all know I've done some interviews that have blown the doors off my friends and family. I'm not embarrassing anybody tonight, so I want to congratulate the other inductees tonight. It's great to be up here with you all. What a class of people and athletes. It's an honor to be up here with you all. So I'm sure I'm not going to forget this night, and you all won't either. Coming home to Central New York brings back a lot of great memories for me. It slows me down quite a bit. As you can see, I've been on a lightning rod tour, going everywhere. And what people don't see on the side of success is all the stuff behind the scenes. You know, you see the grace of making money, wearing all the uniforms, and living out your dream job, but it doesn't really show you guys what goes on behind the scenes. The intensity and the sacrifice from yourself, from your family, your wife, kids. You know, I was sitting in my father's office, which is a shrine to our family in baseball, and it made me really appreciate the journey I was blessed to be on and share with my entire family and friends. I cried a lot, you know, really had a chance to really reflect what took place. And I wasn't the best. Rick Lane, thanks for being here. You know I wasn't the best at one point, but I proved you wrong at some point, didn't I? But, you know, baseball has been good to me and my family, even if the game did kick me around here and there with a long string of injuries. If you don't know anything about my stories, that you know this body of mine got beat up pretty good along the way. From Beeville High School to those 15 seasons I had in the big leagues. And my dad, one of the biggest things he taught me was to love and respect this game. But what he wasn't able to teach me was that something I learned on my own was that you can't love without pain. And I mean, I was told by doctors that 4 of my injuries were, you know, potential career enders. And think about that, you know. I think about those kind of diagnoses that you're sitting there in the office and you toss a person into his or her own personal pools of quicksand, and it's only if you let it. So I didn't, and again, somehow I squeaked out 20 years of professional baseball. But so baseball, along, of course, with my parents, that would be Steve and Kathy right here, the old right-hander who I think also belongs in this Hall of Fame at some point, taught me and my sister Stephanie about resiliency and the need for a strong support system, which is why on this special night I publicly declared to my wonderful sons, Jason, Jaden, and my wife Danielle, who's blessed me with them. Of course, sitting out there in the audience with you this much, I'll always have your back, first and foremost because I love you big time. And second, because so many kind souls had mine. You know, Steph, Randy, my godmother, Aunt Adeline here, my Aunt Pat, my great friends who've been here, Rich, you're out there, Rich Ryan, Chuck Vrabel, Travis Miller, thanks for being here. There's many more who couldn't make it tonight, but thank you doesn't cover it. I've missed you all for a long while. The show was going on, and I only wanted to make the Grilli name, and you're all very proud of me. But evenings something like as these, folks like me usually refer to a long list of names and offer profound thanks to each and every one of you. I leave it to this, you know, to my family and friends, Coach Bader, Rick Slater, Coach Slater, Rick Lane, you know, even the former teammates, Scotty Nadson showed up. Thank you, man. We had some good memories in '94 with those Beeville team. You know, anybody that helped me along the way for my journey, was the support of this whole area, you know, that followed my career, you have my eternal gratitude. Mom and Dad, you especially, a son couldn't love his parents more than I love you guys, and I thank you for that. I love you so much. I suggested earlier in the baseball realm, injuries aside, I was pretty fortunate in that time between my first stop in pro ball with the Shreveport Captains in 1998, right after my last fastball thrown for the Texas Rangers in 2017 at age 40, I got to play in the World Series, 6 playoff series, 2 MLB wildcard games in the All-Star game, and for Team Italia 3 times in the World Baseball Classic. And this mug right here was surrounded at the time with maybe a little bit more hair. I'm missing a little bit. Even made my way onto Sports Illustrated somehow, and you know, I've pitched for 9 different clubs, none of which unfortunately was the Yankees. That was a dream of mine, but it didn't happen. I helped them win some games though. So I guess I kind of played for them. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh. The way I look at it, though, is that I felt like a lot of people wanted me on their team. I played for so many of them, and I was only happy to help them out. It didn't matter what it was. If I was closing, middle reliever, maybe sweeping the janitor floor, sweeping the floors, whatever it took, didn't matter. I climbed the mountain, and believe me, you know, the pitcher's mound in a Major League ballpark before a full house really makes you feel like you're on a special mountain. And I enjoyed that awesome view. And now, here I am with all of you and all these unbelievable athletes that have graced their sport so unbelievably. It says that, you know, baseball belongs to everybody and nobody all at once. And wherever the level, from little league to the bigs, we only get to borrow this game. That's all. And then we must pass it on. So, Drew, Jace, Jaden, if you want it, you got it. It's yours. It's your turn. I understand that more than most, and so I'm happy and very thankful that I was allowed my time and my space in the space in it. I'm very thankful too for how things turned out from this kid from Baldwinsville who grew up to become, along with the Basilios, the Bayheims, the Shazies, Schwartzwalders, the Gates, the Greens, and all others, to be a member of this greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame. It's pretty amazing, huh? So excuse me if I can pinch myself a minute again before I stand you in my tucks and my tie instead of a towel and a jock strap, whatever it may be. I'm just going to paraphrase the great Yogi Berra, and what better way to end. I'm a lucky guy and happy to be a Hall of Famer, and I'd like to thank everybody for making this night necessary. Thank you.
Pretty good night, right? It's not done yet. Not done yet. Next honoree, you might have heard of him, Floyd Little.
By his own admission, the Floyd Little we've admired for decades was not the teenager who grew up in New Haven, Connecticut. The one kicked out of school and fortunate to be re-enrolled. I remember being a strong but angry young man in school, Floyd said, but he sure got his act together. Elected class president, he went on to college football glory at Syracuse after spurning General Douglas MacArthur's West Point Hail Mary, earned a law degree in Denver where he's an immortalized Bronco, became a published author, owned a West Coast car dealership before coming home again as an SU administrator.
all of the times when I started out as the athletic director at Syracuse where I would call on you to come and help me and come watch the program and talk about vision and those type of things, to the point we did it so much where I hired you and brought you to be my ambassador, and you're the best one I've ever had.
All of which brings us to this evening in Syracuse. It would not, could not have included Floyd Douglas Little if not for one Ernest Radford Davis. Imagine a teenager out of Hill House in Bordentown Military, invited to the Waldorf Astoria. He meets the old soldier, who didn't just fade away, but is recruiting him to play for Army. Little had previously met Ernie Davis when the Heisman Trophy winner and Coach Ben Schwartzwalder appeared at Floyd's home on a wintry December day. The Elmira Express wanted Little to be another great SU number 44. The next month, Ernie phoned Floyd. Army and Notre Dame were still hot on Floyd's trail, but Floyd promised Ernie it would be SU. Leukemia claimed Ernie soon thereafter, and Floyd knew a promise made is a promise kept. The 5'10", 196-pound bow-legged tailback was a three-time All-American who filled SU's record books while teaming with running backs named Zonka, Nance, and Coughlin. In 1967, he was the 6th pick in the first common AFL-NFL draft. In 1971, he was the smallest back to lead the NFL in rushing since World War II. In 9 seasons, all as Broncos captain, the franchise gained more than 12,000 all-purpose yards, was all AFL in 1969, and an AFL-NFL Pro Bowler in 70, 71, and 73. Athletic Administrator Herm Frazier, a former Olympic sprinter, came to work at SU in August 2011, just after Little.
And I came to work every day for about 5 or 6 days, and I never saw Floyd. And then finally, Floyd showed up one day, and I go, does this guy ever come to work? But he had been at the Hall of Fame festivities for the year of 2011.
Jeff Rubin is an SU professor who also works for the athletic department.
His passion for Syracuse, not just Syracuse University, not just Syracuse athletics, but Syracuse and the youth and helping pro athletes. Most don't come back to Syracuse, and Floyd, it was a dream.
As a fabled 44, Floyd's 3-year varsity stats are among the best ever on the Hill. And he's received 19 professional athlete awards, 31 community service awards, the 1992 NCAA Silver Anniversary Award, enshrinement in 7 Halls of Fame, including college and pro football, and Denver's inaugural Ring of Fame. In New Haven, they renamed the athletic center the Floyd Little Athletic Center, New England's largest scholastic indoor athletic space.
In essence, Floyd Little's character, leadership, and perseverance is the reason his name is embroidered on this esteemed athletic center.
Lest we forget, when SU football was caught up in racial strife nearly 50 years ago, the number 44 who rightly supported Coach Ben was Floyd Little. Floyd has tried to live the life Ernie Davis could not. To live the words of poet Robert Frost, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. Floyd and his wife Deborah live in Las Vegas, but they're back home tonight. So now, Floyd Little, his long ago promise made and kept without regret, becomes a member of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2019.
You're giving me 2 minutes, but Breanna's giving me 3 of hers. Thank you very much. It is truly an honor and a pleasure for me to be here with my family and my friends. The Pro Football Hall of Fame's mission statement is to honor the heroes of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and celebrate excellence everywhere. Tonight, I celebrate the excellence of these fine athletes that is here this evening.
Congratulations. I'd like to offer my congratulations to all of the honorees, especially Pat Killorin, who was my co-captain. And my friend, Pat, I would not be standing here if it wasn't for you and the blocks you made for me en route to this Hall of Fame and others. I'd like to also recognize my teammates that I'm celebrating this evening. I have a bunch of teammates sitting right there. Would you please stand so I can honor and recognize you? All of my teammates. They're the reason why I'm here. Looking in the rearview mirror of my life, it's been an unbelievable journey that started right here in Syracuse, New York. I first like to recognize my family, if I can. My Hall of Fame wife, Deborah, who many of you already know. She's a former city council member. My 3 kids, Mark Little, my lawyer, advisor, and best friend. Mark is here this evening. Thank you, Mark, for being here. My daughter, Christy, who is the chairman of the board of the family. She's here. My daughter, Kira DaCosta Little, who's a triple threat, dancer, singer, and an actress. I love you guys. My 5 grandkids, AJ, Sky, Blaze, Hayes, and your Cobb. Thank you guys. I love you. My son-in-law, Adrian Jones, and daughter-in-law, Tigra Little. My wife's family. Her dad, Bobby Green, who's also a Hall of Famer and a Sammy Award winner. My mother-in-law, Catherine Trent. Her siblings, Bobby, Mary Louise, and Kevin. Thank you for being here. I have so many friends here tonight. It's just too many to name individually. But I would like to recognize my oldest living friend who's here this evening, Jimmy Salvatore. Jimmy and I have known each other over 55 years. He cheated off my paper in one of the classes. Jimmy, it's so nice to have you and Roseanne here. Thank you. I have a special friend in Chris Pellini, who's here with his wife, Sarah, and his daughter, Jillian. Thank you, Chris. One of my favorite and bestest friend, Herman R. Frazier, gold medal winner. We have 2 gold medal winners in there tonight, Stewie and Herman, and his partner, Caroline Beals. Caroline, you deserve better. It is just an unbelievable opportunity for me to be. I have just too many friends to name them all individually. But there's so many people that I'm here, that's here for me, that I really want to give thanks to. I want to thank Herman, Jeff Rubin, whose son Benjamin, his birthday is tonight, Bill Santillo, and Dale Gross for their videos. Thank you guys. Thank you so very, very much for those videos. It has been an unbelievable journey for me, as I can attest to. There's so many people here that has touched my life, and so many people that are here that I want to honor and recognize. My Syracuse family, Mary Kelly and Kitty Pascal and John Wildhack. Thank you guys for all you've done for me in all the years that I was here. I want to thank Pam and Ed Levine, my employer, who I've got to know very well, and I appreciate them. One of your Hall of Famers, Joe Riddick and his wife, Lee Gada, they're sponsoring 2 high school student athletes from Henry High School tonight. Something that I'd like to do. I'd like to think at this point in time, I would like to sponsor, and anybody who has the capacity to sponsor some high school student athletes to be a part of this event. This is very special tonight. We honor the heroes of the game, and we preserve their history. We promote their values, and we celebrate their excellence everywhere. Joe and Lee, thank you for that. Pam and Ed Levine, Galaxy Communication, thank you for all you do in this community. I want to just thank everybody here who's been a part of this journey. I cannot thank you enough for being on this journey with me. It's been an unbelievable one. You have 2 3-time All-Americans at the same dais. I beat you, Stewie. I was first. But congratulations. So all I'd like to say is, on behalf of my family and my friends, thank you, thank you, thank you for everything you've done for me, and more importantly, for being my friend. But I really want to thank also the Hall of Fame committee, especially Sue Edson, Sports Information Director for Syracuse University, who I love, and she supported me, and thank you, wherever you are. Sue, you've done a great job, and I appreciate it. So here we are, for my family, and for all my friends, and for all the Hall of Famers. Thank you for being here this evening.
Just me, or could you listen to Floyd talk all night? You have anything else you want to say? Okay. And now the guy with the toughest challenge the entire night is to follow Floyd. Our next honoree is Dan Hunt.
There is the best and best of the rest. There is the first and those who follow. No one disputes who was the first to win 3 consecutive Section 3 wrestling championships, and who would be foolish enough to suggest anyone other than one quick but tough 119-pounder as the best. Yes, best of the best was West Genesee's Dan Hunt, and still is. Talented yet humble, Hunt splashed on the scholastic wrestling scene in 1971 by finishing second in the state as a 112-pound freshman. He never lost another scholastic match, en route to capturing state titles at 119 in 1972, 73, and 74. Dan was the only one in the one-division era to record a championship trifecta. What set him apart from all the others? It's been a half-century since Hall of Famer Mike Messer first came across Hunt in junior high.
Junior high at that time, 1968-69, and I had Dan in physical education. I coached him in wrestling and lacrosse. You could tell right away he was special. He was a special kind of athlete. He had strength, speed. He was mature. He had something special, especially in the wrestling realm, that he had balance.
Dave Griffin, Dan's brother-in-law, was a wrestling teammate.
He come walking in the wrestling room, down the stairs and around the room on his hands, so he had an unbelievable balance.
In Carl Rystrom's first year as West Jenny head coach, he has a freshman 112-pounder named Dan Hunt.
Once we saw him on the mat, we were impressed. Danny was very quick, and when he moved, he moved. The other kid didn't have a chance to really dodge him or counter him.
The bar set by Dan Hunt simply could not be reached by others for years. He was undefeated in his last 88 matches, a 3-3 tie with Fulton's Randy the Razor Gillette, the only blemish, so to speak. There was a legendary close call in the 73 state finals at the Utica War Memorial. Cicero's Pat Green, like Hunt, a member of the upstate New York chapter of the Wrestling Hall of Fame, recalls the significance of it all.
The match was a dogfight. Dan ends up winning by a point in the last couple seconds on that locked hands call. The fellow took second and said to him, "You got real lucky, the refs were on your side." And Dan looked down at him and said, "You're right." The fellow thought for a second or two and said, "No, you won fair and square."
Wrestling USA magazine selected Hunt to its 1974 high school All-America team. For all his greatness, there was no bravado, just humility. 4-time sectional and 3-time state champ on the mat, Dan accepted a scholarship to Syracuse, but left after a semester. No more wrestling, time to go to work. And did you know Dan was also a terrific lacrosse player? Second team All-County, co-captain and MVP of the 74 team coached by Bill Warmoth, a team that won 17 in a row and a 5th consecutive OHSL title. A 3-year starter, Hunt scored 91 points in his last 2 seasons. Voted top 15 among New York State's all-time athletes, he was simply the best area schoolboy wrestler ever.
We would wrestle a 6-minute match to get ready for the end of the week when we had the matches. And when I wrestled, if the guy got in on a deep double leg takedown, I'd kind of let him take me down. And Dan looked at me and said, "What? You let him take you down? And he didn't deserve it?" He goes, "Oh no, I never do that. I never let anybody get a point on me if they don't deserve it, even in practices."
And to think the kid who loved gymnastics only switched to wrestling because junior high had no gymnastics equipment. Dan and Sherry Hunt have 2 children, Emily and Dan. And now Dan Hunt becomes a member of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2019. Most of his matches lasted about half that long. Our final honoree tonight is Dan Hunt.
I just want to know why my brother Jimmy's picture is on the front of this program. He looks more like me than I do. Wow, what a night. And so many of my loved ones here. I wish I had time to tell a personal story about every one of you. They only gave me 45 minutes, though. You said 4 to 5? 4 to 5. I'll be a good boy. Yeah, thank you. First, I would like to say thank you to the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame Committee for selecting me for this great honor and for all the hard work that they've done to make this evening so special. Also, I would like to congratulate all of this year's inductees and say that it is a real honor and a privilege for me to be here among such elite, great athletes. Thank you to my friends who shared the kind words on the video we just watched, and for all those that did such a great job putting the video together. Thank you to my wife, Sherry, for being here and for always being so loving and supportive. Sherry and I recently celebrated our 41st wedding anniversary. We met after... We met after high school, and she often reminds me that she never knew me as a wrestler, though I'm certain she always wanted to marry a wrestler. In fact, when I was in the attic recently, gathering wrestling memorabilia for the committee, I stumbled onto a certain middle school diary of one Cheryl Ann Poppy, a.k.a. my wife. And though I shouldn't have, I cracked it open and came across a very enlightening entry that read, "Someday I will marry my Prince Charming, and he will be a short, stocky, bald wrestler." Sorry, honey. Love you. Not a true story. Sherry also likes to remind me from time to time that she never saw me wrestle. But hey, I know better. We had 2 children together, so I know she saw me wrestle at least a couple of times. Am I in trouble? You're awesome, Cher. My mother-in-law, Sally, is here tonight. Thank you for being here, Sal. Our children are here tonight. Our daughter, Emily, is here. Her husband is home in Buffalo with their two little ones, Simon and Eli. Our son, Daniel, and his wife, Kim, are here tonight. Hopefully, their three little ones, Stella, Danny, and Aurora, are fast asleep by now. Tonight, I have many loved ones here, including my brother, sister-in-law, my sisters and their husbands, who are like brothers to me, and many beloved nieces and nephews. Thank you all for being here tonight. Some of my coaches are here. My high school wrestling coach, Carl Rystrom, is here. Coach Rystrom quietly produced 5 state championship wrestlers in his first 10 years as West Genesee varsity coach, where he coached for over 30 years. Coach Rystrom's commitment to fundamental basics and repetition were key contributors to my success. My middle school gym teacher, wrestling coach, and lacrosse coach, the legendary lacrosse coach, Mike Masser, is here. Thanks, Coach Masser. My high school lacrosse coach, Bill Warmoth, is here. He was my mentor, my coach, and in adulthood, my friend. I would describe Coach Warmoth as always intentional, always principled, and always a great coach. One of my coaches that I would have loved to have been here tonight is the late Bill Stessen. He was my teacher, my coach, my mentor. My lifelong friend. I still remember how special I felt when he would call me Dandaroo. Although he was a modified coach and JV coach, he was there at every one of my matches throughout my career. Here in my hands are some scouting notes that Coach Stessen handed to me just before my state finals my senior year. On this day, after the scouting notes, on my final opponent, he writes, "Only Bill Fuller stands between you and New York State history. You'll rip him." More confidently than me, well, I didn't rip him, but I did win, and it was fun. I often hear it said that playing sports is not about winning, it's about having fun. But I got to tell you, winning is fun. Also here tonight are many of my lifelong friends, high school teammates, classmates, wrestling opponents, referees, wrestling enthusiasts, and champion wrestlers of all kinds. Thank you for being here. Looking back, I recognize even more today than ever how significant it was that I had parents that loved me enough to give me boundaries, responsibilities, support, and exposure to the things that promoted my God-given natural abilities. I grew up in an environment of love and support in so many ways. My older brothers and their friends were outstanding athletes and my heroes. They called me names like Little Hunt and Huntsy, and I loved it. And I wanted to be a good athlete and a good person just like them. It was in this environment that I learned how to win and how to lose, how to take correction, how to persevere, how to laugh at myself, how to compete within the rules. I learned how the pain of discipline hurts much less than the pain of regret. My prayer is that every kid could have a healthy environment of love and support, loving parents, a good school, a park, a playground, a town program, a couple of heroes, people who care. For some, it takes just one person who cares. I consider myself extremely blessed to have had an abundance of such people and places in my life. And my part in all this has been to take the skills that God has given me, together with the unique environment that God has blessed me with, and work as hard as I can to make the best, the very best of what I've been given. That remains my goal today and every day. In closing, there's a term used in the Bible that talks about God's love. It says that he lavished his love upon us. I love that term, lavished. It means excessive or superabundant. And that's how I feel tonight. I feel as though all of you have lavished upon me in superabundance the honor of being graciously recognized in such a memorable way. Thank you. God bless you. Have a wonderful night.
And hopefully you and Sherry get to number 42. So, how about one more gigantic round of applause for all of these legends up here? If only you had that reaction when your cable bill came in the mail. But we don't have time to talk about that. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Thanks again to the Cherundolo Law Firm, to Solvay Bank, for Romano Auto Dealerships for making this night possible. We'll see you next year. Thank you.
There's a place for all our heroes. It's called the Hall of Fame. The greats of sports are honored here for the way they played the game. As we count their contributions, we feel so very proud. We won't forget how much they gave and how they pleased the crowd. When the glory years are over and playing days are past, we'll preserve those memories as long as sports fans last. Our torches lit